Children between 3 to 6 years of age are in the initiative versus guilt stage. Children in this stage are mostly in preschools or play schools, that is, kindergartens. The existential question during this stage is: am I capable of planning and executing socially approved activities? The crisis or conflict of this stage, that is, initiative versus guilt, is resolved by actively engaging in playful and creative activities. What is initiative? According to Erickson's theory, initiative is the enthusiastic desire to try new activities without excessive fear of failure. During this stage, the child begins to learn that they can exert power over themselves and the world. They learn what they can and cannot control. When they do mistakes, they don't feel guilty. They understand that they just need to try again. Now, what is guilt? According to Erickson's theory, guilt is feeling ashamed over trying something new and thus provoking irritation in adults, or feeling shame over failing to complete a task. Children feeling guilt consider a mistake as a sign of personal failure and feel that they are somehow bad. Children feeling more guilt than initiative during this stage learn to resist trying new things for the fear of failing. Children have newfound power at this stage as they have developed motor skills. These are particularly lively, rapid developing years in a child's life, a time of vigor of action and of behavior that the parents may see as aggressive as they assert themselves more frequently. Children at this stage are trying to explore the world and their interest. They want to master the world around them by learning basic skills. They begin to know how to use their physical abilities to do many things, such as hit their friends or scold people. Children at this stage are regularly interacting with other children at school. They are more engaged in social interactions with people around them. Children are curious about their environment. Their thirst for knowledge has increased. They want to know why things are the way they are. They begin to ask many questions. They ask the question of why and how very often. They want to understand if they can influence their environment in a meaningful way. If the teachers or parents treat their question as trivial or embarrassing, then they may feel guilt. Play is the most important event during this stage. They spend much time with their peers at the playgrounds. Play provides them with the opportunity to explore their interpersonal skills by initiating activities. This is a time when interpersonal skills are displayed and mastered. Children may start asserting themselves. This stage takes decision making to a next level. Children are learning how to play with others. In their play groups, they start to get a sense that everyone has a role. This allows some people to take initiative and take charge. By taking initiative, they may decide what role they want to play and which games they want to play. A child might come up with a new game to play. The child might be the one to suggest that it's time to play or time to do something else. In this stage, children may want to assume leadership roles. They enjoy playing games and activities where they get a chance to lead. When they are pretending, they can choose their roles and the roles of other players. Members of the playgroup may follow along or push back. Different members of the playgroup may also fight for the top spot. These conflicts and interactions are good for the child's development. It helps them develop a sense of initiative. This is the first time in a child's life that they can explore being a leader or how a leader operates. Children can also experience planning, executing these plans, and compromising with others. Children want to begin and complete their actions for a purpose. When their efforts are encouraged and supported, they develop initiative independence in planning and executing activities and feel secure in their ability to lead and make decisions. They learn to take initiative and prepare themselves for goal achievement roles. But when their efforts are discouraged, criticized, or controlled, they may feel guilty about their needs and desires, and may feel nuisance to others, and will therefore remain followers, lacking in self initiative. They also develop feeling of guilt when their initiative does not produce desired result. The child may develop a negative behavior such as throwing objects, hitting, yelling that seem aggressive, ruthless and overly assertive to parents. These behaviors are a result of the child developing a sense of frustration for not being able to achieve a goal as planned. They are bound to make mistakes as they face the complexities of planning and developing a sense of judgment. They are also bound to get aggressive since other children in the playgroup also wish to take the initiative. Additionally, they have not matured enough to act cooperatively with other children. Guilt can also develop as a result of interaction or conflict with others. For example, a child can feel guilty for not allowing another child to play a particular role or made other children feel bad. At this stage, the child might start to see that their role in a group may require them to sacrifice their needs and wants for the sake of others. If children do not feel guilt for being bossy, it can lead to a lack of empathy. They may not care for others if there is no guilt. So, guilt is not always bad. For example, when the child makes use of that guilt to practice caring for others and their needs within choosing roles best for them, their moral grounds begin forming. Guilt in this stage is an important as well as harmful component. Without guilt, initiative can lead to stubborn and selfish attitude, lack of self control, lack of empathy, lack of regard for other children. Some amount of guilt is essential so that child develops self limits. Additionally, too much guilt can also be harmful and lead to lack of self confidence that is suspicious of their decisions and ability, low self esteem, emotional weakness, lack of leadership qualities make the child withdrawing and aloof and make them too slow to interact with others. Because of too much guilt, they may inhibit their natural desires. When a child learns initiative with little guilt, that is, being careful about others' need, they can become powerful leaders. It enables individuals to take meaningful actions and achieve their aims. So, healthy balance between initiative and guilt is important. Either one of these two variables without enough of the other would be unfavorable to child's growth into better healthy individual. In conclusion, the resolution of the conflict or crisis of this stage is initiative but with enough guilt so that child is not impulsive. Parents have major role to play in this stage. That is to help the child to find right balance between taking the initiative and guilt in this stage. Parents should provide an environment of freedom that is not overly structured or controlling and give the child opportunities for free play with other children. Parents should avoid being too suggestive during this stage. The child must be given the space to explore his ideas. Parents should make sure that they intervene only when necessary. Children who are constantly encouraged to initiate on the parents' behalf or perform for others may not develop an ability to initiate on their own behalf. Constant media or screen time may inhibit imagination or a child's ability to initiate their own play or activate their imagination. Parents should encourage them to take initiative and pursue new interests by appreciating their initiative. But be mindful whenever the child fails. Avoid shaming them for mistakes they make when they initiate play. Children are bound to make mistakes. A parent's job is to point out the mistake without being critical so that the child can learn from his mistake. The child must learn about the solutions to the mistake and the acceptance of the mistake. For example, a child may be allowed to play in the mud but be asked to clean up the mess when they drag the mud inside. Parents should avoid criticizing or trying to control them. Child can develop guilt if the parents are too controlling or critical. Accept them unconditionally for who they are, even when you can't accept a decision they have made. Don't let your child's question upset or annoy you. Instead, let them know you are happy they are interested in learning. Parents need to teach limit setting during this stage. This can be achieved by teaching children to take turns in leadership and followership roles, teaching them the importance of cooperation, honesty, and empathy, and helping the child learn the limits of what they can control and how to play well with others. Children at this stage are still beginning to understand what behaviors are acceptable, hence, they may engage in several wrong behaviors. Let me give you an example here. A 5-year-old I met would insist on picking up every single breakable item in the room. An exclamation of, "Be careful, it can break," would elicit this reply from her: "I can do it." Similarly, she would continually attempt to step on one chair directly from another, one kept at a distance, without any help. A statement like, "Mind the distance, you could fall," would elicit the very same response: "I can do it, watch me." The predominant reason why a child could perhaps engage in wrong behavior is to try it out and gain a sense of mastery, not to disobey us, show us down, or be stubborn and naughty. The importance of this cannot be undermined. Children by nature love and seek the approval of those around them. Hence, acting in a way that snatches approval away is something a child would not naturally wish to do. Their insistence upon doing something bad, like stepping into neighbor's house every day asking for a chocolate, is most probably not to disobey orders from the parents, not to do so. It is to judge for himself or herself how good he or she is at persuading. Understanding a child's motivation behind such behaviors is critical to help them. Equally critical is communicating this understanding to the child. It is essential to convey to them that you appreciate that the child is curious and not mischievous or stubborn. Example of unhealthy communication. How many times do I have to repeat, "Don't touch the lamp"? Meaning of the message: you do not wish to listen to me and like to trouble me. The child understands. Mom or dad thinks I am bad. I don't love them. A healthy alternative. Sweetie, you want to lift the lamp? It could be too big for your little hands and may break. Why don't you try lifting it along with me? We can both hold it. Or try lifting this bowl first. It is smaller. Children of this age may seem selfish, pushy, or controlling and treat others poorly when they don't get their way. These behaviors are part of the child learning social interactions. Parents mortified by this behavior may respond harshly, creating a feeling of guilt in the child. At this age, child can think about things, may not logically, but started to think and plan behavior. When you take initiative, you are thinking about a plan of action and then putting it into play. Caregivers spend a lot of time talking to the child about what they want to do next. What are you going to do today? What would you like to have for lunch? Those very open ended questions certainly lead to lot of initiative because the child has to think about all possibilities. So you ask your child, what would you like for lunch? What are they going to say? Candy. I would like to have some candy. And then I like have some chocolates. Again, don't want to give them freeway. We want to do it within boundaries. Would you like broccoli or peas for lunch? And between those choices, they are allowed to take initiative or make a decision. Well, I have chose broccoli, so I am going to have it. If you don't allow the child to plan, then give them option. Give them choice that enables them to take action. Parents are trying to emphasize think before you act. Lots of time what we say is I don't know, and that's possible for those who don't think before they act as they are impulsive, and then there are negative consequences. What makes initiative versus guilt different than autonomy versus shame? If a child doesn't build a strong autonomy, they won't feel confident in their actions. Initiative versus guilt is about impulse control and becoming cooperative. It is when children start seeing how far they can push boundaries. The biggest difference would probably be personal versus interpersonal. One has negative effects from a lack of confidence in self, and the other has negative effects from the feeling of not being of use, which is to some extent developed by people around them. Children at that age tend to get that great feeling from doing something to help someone, no matter how small. I think of it as exploring autonomy. Oh, wow, I can get this blanket myself, versus getting initiative. I'm going to get this blanket myself. Ages 3 to 5 in other stages of development. Jean Piaget's stages of cognitive development. From the ages of 3 to 5, a child is in the pre operational stage. They already have object permanence but only think in concrete terms. Piaget also suggested that children at this age are largely egocentric. They have not yet developed empathy and only see the world through their perspective. Sigmund Freud's stages of psychosexual development. Children between the ages of 3 to 5 are in the phallic stage of psychosexual development. In each stage, the child has a different erogenous zone that influences their behavior. Freud suggested that during this time, the child is discovering the differences between men and women. They also discover their affection for the opposite sex parent. This is known as the Oedipus complex. Carl Jung added that girls go through an Electra complex. Although Freud's stages of psychosexual development are no longer widely accepted by modern psychologists, they are still fascinating to study. Shame versus guilt. Shame is the feeling that I am a bad person, whereas guilt is the feeling that I have done a bad thing. Shame is a negative judgment about the core self, which is devastating. In contrast, guilt is a negative judgment about an action, which can be repaired by good behavior. If we want our children to care about others, we need to teach them to feel guilt rather than shame when they misbehave.